Hi, Kevin. It's Sarah
And
Paul here. How are you doing?
not too bad. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Thanks for being on the Bigfoot Fades podcast.
Not a problem.
Yeah, did you want to start off with telling us a little bit about yourself, or did you want to just kind of jump right into your story?
I'm just average Joe. Work hard, play hard,
Nice.
seeing different things.
Nice. What kind of work do you do again?
I own a dump truck.
Nice. How long have you been doing that for?
See, I've been in business by myself 8 years, but I've been driving for 22.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, did you want to just jump into your story and let us hear what you got?
There's quite a few of them. I mean, everybody, a lot of people I know have criticized me, I guess you could say. They're like, oh, yeah, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, my butt. It's like, you don't know until you've experienced it. And it'll definitely freak you out when you do. When you wake up in the morning, and you got Bigfoot, footprints all the way around your tent. And that night you heard weird, weird, eerie sounds. And the smell, oh, the smell of them is just something else.
Pretty intense.
It's, yeah, like I was telling you earlier, it's about 4 times worse than a skunk. And it's pretty indescribable. I mean, it's just it is a foul, foul smell.
Like around what time was this experience you had? What year do you remember?
Oh no, I was probably 12 or 11, 12, something like that. We were up Anthony Lakes area with my dad, my uncle, and my cousin, and it was snowing really good. But we took us about 6 hours to set up camp because we had windbreaks around with tarps and all that. We had an old military tent that we had set up, and me and my cousin, we were out playing because we had 2 days to get everything set up and before the season started, and we're out playing around. We come across this creek, and here, there's footprints walking, that are walking up the creek. So me and my cousin, we freaked out. We went and told our dads, and they're like, they blew it off. And a couple of days went by, and first day hunting, we went up and we came back and we showed them the things, and they kind of went, oh, okay, well, whatever. Well, that night, we went to bed, and that's when we smelled. You could hear the odd, weird sounds, and then you start smelling the stench, and we could hear them walking around outside the tent. So needless to say, we never got any sleep that night. There's four of us, each had a corner with our rifles, and we were in the middle. And woke up in the morning, and there was the you could see where he circled about 4 times around our camp, and it took us about 15 minutes. We packed up and we got out of there really quick.
Wow. And you said it took you
Yeah,
7 hours to set up originally.
it was about 4 to 6 hours to originally set up because we had to put military tarps up on the side and around the trees and put the tent up and get the stove in. And yeah, it took us a long time to set up, but it didn't take us nothing to tear down. Because my dad, he grew up in the woods. He started driving log truck, and falling trees and stuff when he was about 10 years old, and he'd never smelled anything like that or heard any sounds any remotely to that, and it freaked him out. And I know if it freaked my old man out, it definitely freaked me out.
And you said you were about 11 to 12 years old.
Yeah, I wasn't that old.
Do you remember hearing the sounds yourself?
Yeah, it's I can even remember the smell. It freaked me out really bad.
That's interesting. Do you know it's probably hard for you to kind of mimic the sound, but I've kind of heard some Bigfoot sounds. Is it kind of sound like some you've heard on, audio or something different?
Yeah, a little bit, and there's different pitches and the way that they do it. It's weird. It just it's something you don't want to hear when you're out in the woods.
That's crazy. And like how loud was it?
It was pretty loud. It was kind of like being like in a crowded bar. It was pretty loud.
Okay.
And you could tell they were off in the distance, it or they or whatever, however many there was off in the distance for a while. And then when we could start smelling them, you could tell that they were like really close because
And
it was loud screams.
okay, and then that's when was that in the morning or was that during the middle of the night?
That was during the middle of the night. We just got to bed. I don't know what time it was, but because it was winter time, so it was dark. And we put the fire out. And we went to bed, and we had this pot-belly stove in there to keep warm. And then, yeah, it was 15, 20 minutes after we went to bed is when we started hearing it, and then you smell it, and yeah, it was wrong, wrong on a whole bunch of levels.
You said your dad had been like kind of an avid hunter before. Had he been up in that area before?
Oh yeah, him and my uncle used to go up there all the time, and they never had any other issues.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah, that's because they knew exactly what spot they wanted, and they've been up there quite a bit, and it was just I don't know, it was just one of those things that keeps with you. And then there's other ones that me and my buddy we were hunting up backside of Estacada, uh, up above Ripplebrook Ranger Station, and we were way up there and come across a little meadow. So we kind of walked our way around the meadow, and we come upon this big bear that was literally ripped apart and
A
blood all
bear.
over and stuff. And yeah, and me and my buddy we looked at each other like, what the hell? And then all of our hair on both of our bodies, they stood up and we looked at each other and went, yeah, it's time to get going. It was like you could feel somebody staring at you or
Wow.
something staring at you. And my buddy was, back then we were quite a bit younger, but he's like 6'5", and he's leaping over, 6 foot logs like they're freaking nothing. And, when it freaks you out.
You said like that's your buddy was leaping over the frogs or the logs?
Yeah, he's about 6'3", 6'4". He was jumping over logs like they were little twigs.
Oh, because he was so freaked out by it.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah. Every little hair on our body stood up and went, whoa. You could just feel the eerie. There was no birds, nothing up there that were chirping. I mean, it was dead silent, and it was just like, okay, it's time to get out of here. There's something watching us that we don't need to be around.
Wow. Tell me more about the bear. So it didn't look like a hunter could have done it, like something actually like ripped it in half.
Oh, it was ripped in half. Literally ripped in half. The head was severed. The body was ripped from the center out. Yeah, it was nasty, and it looked like somebody, just started grabbing body parts and started ripping them off.
Wow. And you don't think that that could be like a mountain lion or another bear? Like it felt.
No, 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 not the way this thing was.
I've never heard of something. That's crazy.
It was pretty wild.
How long ago was that?
Oh, probably probably 30 years ago,
30 years ago?
20, 25, 30 years ago.
Did you grow up in the Estacada area?
I spent a lot of time out here.
Okay. Where's Anthony Lake at?
It's up east of Baker City on the east side,
In Oregon?
or west of, excuse me, west of Baker City. Yes, in Oregon.
West of Baker City. Okay. And then so say 30 years ago was the bear encounter. How many years after like when you were a kid? How old were you when you saw the bear?
Uh, 20, probably 25, 28, somewhere right around there.
Okay. Did you hear of any other stories in Estacada around that time, like from any of the locals that had any similar reports?
Um, no, but I did some research, and uh, I think it was online or a book. I don't remember what I was reading, but there's been quite a few of them. There was one just literally right outside Estacada by Faraday Lake in the early 80s that somebody encountered at night crossing the road in front of them. And then up farther, just past Actually, I think probably right about, oh, what's the other lake up there? Reservoir. Uh, Promontory. There's been 4 or 5 sightings since the 80s. None of them are recent, but it's, mid 80s to early 90s.
Okay.
So they're around. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I've seen and smelled and heard, and I'm a complete firm believer that they're out there. But they are definitely a hide and seek champion.
Yeah, the only I think recent one I've heard of was the 3 years ago up in Lottie Flats, and a guy was
Oh,
saying he was up
Ladie,
there.
yeah,
Yeah, Liddy. Yeah, I'm probably saying it
yeah,
wrong. Yeah, he was up there
yeah.
in his Jeep and saw one poke out behind a tree, he said.
That wouldn't surprise me. There's a lot of acres up there that people, really haven't explored.
Yeah,
So,
it's Squaw
I
Mountain. And I
mean,
think Lottie is Lot now it's Lottie Flats. Is that Squaw Mountain the top of it?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of mid. It's kind of a mid. You can drive. If I remember, you can go Squaw. You can get all the way over to Eastern Oregon by that, or
Oh,
come out
really?
at Mount Hood, up on Mount Hood somewhere. That's what I've heard. I've never did it. Went up there playing in the snow, and you can only go so far. But
And that reaches over into Ripplebrook where you saw the bear.
uh, I'm not sure. I don't. Well, yeah, that's the first way you can get up to Libby Flats is up through that way. But you can also come in another way. But I've never, like I said, I've never taken that road all the way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are really interesting stories. Have you wanted to go out and do any kind of looking for Bigfoot recently, or any recent interest in anything?
No, I get too busy.
Have you checked out that museum over in Boring? I think you were mentioning that earlier.
Yeah, I talked to Cliff. He was in there one day and telling stories and stuff. And he's a really nice guy. He's a complete firm believer. But yeah, he was cool. And I told him a couple of the stories. He said that I guess up around Anthony Lakes, there's a resort now. But I guess there's been summertime and early fall. People have actually been witness to seeing something and hearing something like that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. That's over there on that side because there's so many rugged mountains that people haven't explored that get out there and just start walking and making their own trails or whatever. Even you find an old logging road that hasn't been used in 20 years. They're walking up it and stuff, and there's places where there's not a lot of people, and that's where they like to be.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Did Cliff say anything to you about having any sightings himself?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's of course he's been all around the United States and the world looking, trying to find them and stuff. But he said he's physically seen one, and that's what got him started, I guess, in it.
And was he the creator of that show, Finding Bigfoot?
I'm not sure if he was. I think it was all of them because
Okay.
they're BFRO, so it's Bigfoot Research Association, or organization, whatever it is. But yeah, I think him and Cliff, or Cliff and Bobo and crap, the other guy, they're the ones that are really big into it.
That's
Because I know
interesting.
Bobo, he's actually seen 2 or 3 of them, I guess, what he says.
Isn't he the guy in the show with the longer hair?
Yeah, the big, great big guy.
Yeah, he seems pretty cool. They all seem pretty cool. I wonder if
Yeah,
that show's still running or not. I can't. I'm not.
I, I haven't, I haven't seen it on TV in quite a while.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. What happened to it?
There's another couple. There's another what 3 or 4 people that are out doing it that are on TV now, and I don't really care for them, but
Okay. Yeah, one of my favorite podcasts, like I was telling you earlier, is Bigfoot Society, and then Sasquatch Theory. They've been coming up a lot on YouTube, and I actually talked to Jeremiah over at Bigfoot Society, and just like a really cool down to earth person, and has some really cool Oregon stories under his podcast playlist. So you gotta check those out sometime.
yeah, I'll definitely have to do that.
Yeah, I can send those over
Yeah,
to you if
it'll
you
be
find me.
it'll be. Yeah, yeah, because I in my if I had more spare time, I would definitely do it. But I got a 6 year old, and I don't think he'd quite understand what's going on. He likes watching the Bigfoot shows, but
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, let him know now that you're on one now.
yeah, yeah, he'll, I'll let him listen to it.
Nice. Well, yeah, did you have
Yeah.
anything else that you wanted to share or that you thought of?
No, that's I mean, I like I said, I've been out and hunting quite a bit, and you can definitely tell if it's a mountain lion or I mean, I was stalked by one when I was hunting one year, and you could hear them howl, hissing and doing their cry, and that's not anything remotely what Bigfoot sounds like. So
Wow,
it
yeah,
is
that's crazy.
it when you hear it, your hair will stand up. It's weird. It's freaky.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they would like, harm humans at all, because I guess I haven't run into any podcasts where they're talking about killing humans unless I haven't seen those ones yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard of them either, but I don't think you can get close enough. I mean, I've heard of the Bigfoots throwing rocks, big boulders at people trying to scare them, but I don't know if they were trying to kill them, eat them, or just scare them away from where they're at.
Yeah, I got another story on there. I think it's either Ripplebrook or Brightwood, I forget, but it's the 911 tower up about around where you were, and they were up there with some propane tanks. And he was telling me the other day that you can't get in there unless it's like a locked area, and
Yeah.
something out of the wood just threw a giant rock and like dented their propane tank.
Well, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, so there are a couple of big guys too that hunt and all that kind of stuff, and they said, "Oh yeah, we're not going back up there."
Yeah, like I said, I've had friends. Hey, let's go over to Anthony Lakes, go camping. During the summer. Oh yeah, we're gonna make a trip over there. Nope, go for it. I ain't going back.
Really, you guys
That's
haven't gone back
yeah.
since you were a kid?
Nope. I have nope, never have. Like I said, I've had friends call, hey, we're going to Anthony Lakes for the weekend. You want to go up? Nope. I refuse to go over there.
Wow. Have you what did after the years went on, what did your dad and uncle and cousin say?
We all knew it was Bigfoot. Because like I
Wow.
said, my dad, and my uncle didn't believe me and my cousin at first until it all happened, and they saw the footprints and the smell and the sounds, and they're like, whoa, okay, let's get the hell out of here.
What did the footprints look like?
They looked like a human, except they were big, big and wide. They
Did
were
it
probably they're probably foot and a half long and
Okay.
probably 6 inches wide.
A foot and a half long?
Yeah, they're good sized.
So it's like what, like a good 12 inches or so?
Probably around 14 to 16.
Did you see like how much space was in between each footprint?
About 4 to 5 feet. I mean, they're long strides.
And they were kind of going around the lake area?
No, they were around our tent. They were around our tent and our perimeter where we had set up. They were right there next to our tent.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why we sat up all night. Each one of us had our rifle pointed towards the corner, and yeah, it was no, we weren't letting him come in.
Did you guys hear them at all, or did it come up and mess with you or
Oh
anything?
yeah, you could hear him crunching through the snow all the way around the tent.
Really?
Yeah,
Did you
yep.
guys try to get a peek at it or anything?
Oh hell no, we weren't moving from the center of that tent. We were all freaked out.
I bet. That's
We
that's a
didn't
pretty
know.
scary encounter.
Yeah, we didn't know. I mean, we didn't know exactly what was going on, but we kind of figured it was Bigfoot. And then when we got up got out in the mornings when it was daylight and we knew it was clear, and then you could see the footprints. Yeah, then it was like, yeah, we're getting the hell out of here.
Yeah, that's not cool. I would have been out of there too. Did you ever go up to that Ripplebrook area again?
Oh yeah, yeah. We hunted up there for a long time,
Okay.
but we've never seen anything like that before since then. So,
You ever talk
but
to
we
that
didn't
buddy
go.
anymore?
Oh yeah, but we didn't go back up that far. We didn't. We just stayed down where we knew, like Cache Meadows. There's a meadows up there. It's called Cache Meadows. We'd walk that trail, um, but we never went all the way up top like we did before.
So that was the meadow that was at the top of Ripplebrook, where you saw the bear.
No, that one was farther in. Cache Meadows is the one you can walk to. We were just out and through the thickets in the woods, and we weren't on a trail.
So way up past the meadow.
Oh yeah, we yeah, we were probably 4 or 5 miles past that.
Is there anything up in that area? Like, was there any like roads built at that time or like logging trucks or anything?
Nope, nope. It went up to a road that was bar ditched. We went walked across that, went up, and you see where it ended and where they logged, and we just kept walking, and we were way up in there.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder what that area looks like today, if any of that wildfire got to that area, or if it's
I
still there.
I don't know. That'd be interesting to see. I know somebody said that it's still closed. The road's still closed up there, so I would imagine it's probably burnt pretty good.
Oh, okay. They closed it after the fire?
Yeah.
Huh, interesting. Well,
Yep.
that's pretty crazy story. I think the bear being ripped in half has to be probably the coolest story I've heard so far.
It it now I think now it's like yeah that was just it was wild to see, but it was at the time it was just like what the just happened?
Yeah,
What could have did this? And like I said, there's no way cougars or another bear could have did that. There's just no way. I mean, it was just literally ripped limb from limb.
that's great. And it was a
So it'd be,
black bear,
so
right?
it'd- yeah. So it'd be like you have a doll, plastic doll, and a bodybuilder just ripping the limbs off and the head off and ripping the torso in half. That's basically what it would look like.
Yeah, I mean, nothing could do that, right? Like a person couldn't just go up there and do that.
Oh no, no, because there was no. I mean, you'd see saw marks on the bones, or from a chainsaw, you'd see the marks or the claw marks from from big cats, but there was nothing. I mean, it was just literally snapped in half and ripped apart.
That's crazy. Did it look like it got eaten a little bit, or just it was not really eaten? It was just
It was still fresh. I mean, it was like still blood running.
oh my
So it
God.
just happened, yeah. Because I think when me and my buddy come walking around, I think that spooked him. He got out of there. We saw that, and like I said, we felt something staring at us like something evil. I mean, like yeah, get the f- out of here now. So we were like, yeah, time to go, and turned around and we ran like hell.
Wow, yeah, I would get out of there too.
Yeah, it was freaky.
Well,
So
thanks for sharing your story today, Kevin. I
you
really
bet.
appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah. As I say, I gotta have to get going. I gotta go out, and start heading to work.
All right. Well, I really appreciate your time and yeah, I
Not a
want to
problem.
thank you for being on the podcast tonight.
You bet.
Alrighty, thank you. Bye-bye.
You bet. Bye.